So I actually completely forgot to talk about Licorice Pizza in my last video. I can confirm it is a 6 out of 10 movie. I thought it was good, not great. Paul Thomas Anderson is obviously a very talented and revered director, and I'm not surprised to find that the directing in this movie is 100% on point. It's really warm and colourful. It certainly captures that 1970s era feel. The acting's pretty good throughout most of the movie. Bradley Cooper was an excellent addition to the cast. I've seen a lot of people point to this movie as being racist or a little bit pedophilic or hebephilic, as would be the correct term. But I mean, it is just representative of the time and what was acceptable and what people got away with and what was considered normal. I don't think it's for a minute glorifying any of this stuff. Benny Safdie is also in the movie, which is fucking awesome. He's a great actor as well as filmmaker. But I just wasn't really that keen on the story or the characters. I thought all of that was just kind of fine, and you could say objectively it was really great, but for me it just didn't really click. But it's a good movie and you should definitely check it out. I mean, you know, could be a 7. I'll watch it again someday when I've seen a few more of his films. I haven't seen that many, but this is one of the ones I have seen, and I don't regret watching it at all. Fine movie. I believe this was actually an ITV documentary, which is about what it says on the tin, a group of mercenaries trying to kill Pablo Escobar. My biggest issue with this doc is that, well, the title's a lie, they don't kill him, they plan to kill him, but I guess the title, Planning to Kill Escobar, is not as appealing. But this documentary was actually really cool and I really liked it. I will say the stories about the mercenaries involved, particularly the bald guy, are way more interesting than the actual mission they go on. I just really love learning about real people with real struggles. Needless to say, this was a terrifying experience for them, and I completely feel the fear that they went through, and the horror and the emotional torment. It really is actually quite a powerful experience. I'd love to watch this again sometime, even if just for that personal connection you get with said mercenaries. I actually really like Malcolm and Marie. I thought Zendaya was good. I thought John David Washington was really good. Yeah, sometimes it feels a little rambly and weird and maybe a little bit annoying. This film is essentially just a 2-character play in the form of a film, and I actually don't mind that because a lot of my favourite television are just kind of plays presented as television episodes. So if that's your cup of tea, then you'll enjoy the movie. I don't absolutely love it, and I see what people don't like about it, and I do kind of agree with some of it, but for me it was an overall positive experience. It's very emotionally tense and stressful. It really makes you question your own relationships with people in the real world. It's a film that I respect and will continue to like, even if I don't see it again anytime soon. Eric Bana gives a really great performance in this film. You can tell he really cared while making this movie. I will say it being called The Dry is appropriate because sometimes it does feel a little bit dry. I do just feel like some scenes go on a bit longer than they have to, or the film as a whole just kind of does. But it is still one of those really cool mystery drama thriller films that I just get a kick out of. The original author, Jane Harper, even has a cameo in the film. It feels like a lot of love and care really went into it. The slow burning lead up to the mystery of the town's past was also really cool. The reveal of who was actually responsible for the murders that the guys come back to investigate despite being ostracized by his family and friends was really cool. I wouldn't mind showing this film to other people and seeing what they think of it. And if they enjoy it more than me or less than me, I don't care, because I'll always enjoy it for what it is. A slow burning mystery thriller with a pretty interesting and sometimes very gritty story. The thing you have to ask yourself about the Mitchells versus the Machines is, who is it aimed at, and can you appreciate it even if you're not part of that audience? Yeah, I can. Of course the film's a bit cringy and a bit modern humory for my liking, but I really like all the voice acting. Some of it did actually make me smile and chuckle a little bit. Some of it feels a little bit too fast paced because it's very high energy and, like I said, very clearly aimed at a younger audience. I like the characters. Some moments feel a bit forced, but like it has heart, it has humor, it has pretty much everything you're looking for in trying to just keep a room bright and fun and full of entertainment. I actually really love this movie and I wouldn't mind watching it a third time. I actually really like The Kingsman. Yeah, it's a little silly, but that's kind of the point of these Kingsman movies. I mean, I'm a bit more mixed on the second one, but this one's kind of a return to form for me. It's nowhere near as good as the original Kingsman, no way, but it does actually explain the backstory in a way I found to be pretty cool and kind of satisfying. I like the characters. There are some very surprising and, dare I say, shocking moments that caught me off guard. All the acting's great. Of course, it has plenty of humor in it. I thought the twist of the villain was actually pretty cool. I actually didn't see it coming. The whole political espionage stuff that it explained expands upon from the first two movies is really cool. It does its job at being a perfectly entertaining third entry slash prequel to the Kingsman movies, and I love it. Belfast is most comparable to something like the early chapters of a Charles Dickens novel, more specifically David Copperfield and Great Expectations, you know, where it focuses on young David or young Pip just sort of growing up. What I like about Belfast is it really sort of captures that innocence and childhood essence of the main character. It has family stress, family joy, what it's like to steal your first candy bar from the influence of an older, more immature relative. Of course, it takes place during all those horrible riots that happened, and it's obviously very personal to the director. I always appreciate that about a film that isn't straight up biographical, but like semi-autobiographical. Something about it is just a lot more appealing because you can get away with fictionalizing it and adding to it. I like the fact it's in black and white, and there's the whole color thing at the cinema that really adds to the movie. I really was not sure about it in like the first 20 minutes. I was kind of like, oh god, really? I think I might leave. But I stuck it out and I let it go along, and I actually ended up really enjoying it. It really does capture that feeling of just being a kid. And also the whole, it's also the adults that are having a difficult time thing. Like with actual neighborhood criminals, believe it or not. But yeah, it's a great film. Judi Dench was also really cool. I haven't seen her in a great film in some time actually, to be honest. The kid was also pretty great. All the acting was just pretty great. As much as I love fantasy and unconventional stuff, The Green Knight is just a bit too slow burning for my complete and utter liking. Don't get me wrong, I still love this movie. It's weird, it's kind of gross, it's a bit creepy, and it has those really dark and strange fantastical elements to it that I really appreciate about films like this, especially lower budgeted ones. Dev Patel is really great in the movie, everyone else in the film's really good. It has a strange, trippy, unnerving vibe throughout the whole experience. Some of it did kind of irritate me at points, but that's more of a personal thing I have for some of the characters and things that happen in the middle. I like the journey that our character goes on. The titular Green Knight was a really interesting character, even if he didn't do much and wasn't in it that much. The film has a nice message and good morals. That's always nice to see in a film like this, especially one set so long ago. So yeah, strong recommendation from me. Honestly, like I said earlier, Andrew Garfield can do no wrong. He's incredible in this film. He's exceptionally well cast as the main character. Again, a heavily fictionalized biography that kind of puts me off it a little bit, but not completely. Jonathan Larson just seemed like he was a very interesting guy, and Andrew Garfield really captures that. I really like the music in the film. It's all choreographed incredibly well. Andrew Garfield does it incredibly well, as do everyone else. Everyone else in the cast is pretty great. It touches on the whole AIDS crisis that was going on at the time, which I appreciate, and it adds a lot of sympathy to those characters. I like how kind of harsh it is with its realistic portrayal of just how difficult it is to accomplish your dreams in the entertainment industry. Sometimes it almost feels like a fantasy movie, which really adds a sort of whimsy to it I appreciate. It's just a film that I really love, even if I don't think it's utterly and entirely perfect. So yeah, go see it. It's on Netflix. Load it up. Another Nicolas Cage joint, but he's not fucking insane in this movie. He's actually held back, and he gives a very serious, very meaningful, and dare I say emotionally powerful performance. All for the sake of getting back his pig, which he loves dearly. This isn't just about the money and finding ingredients for him. He really loves that pig. One of the Wolf brothers is in this movie, and I actually thought he was pretty good. I will admit it didn't really have my full attention for the first sort of 40 minutes or half hour, but then it gets to that restaurant scene and I was like, okay, this is lit. And the rest of the time I was just having a blast. The characters are all very interesting. It has a nice story. I feel like I'm just kind of repeating myself with these movies that I think are pretty good if they're not perfect. So I'm just going to leave it there. Just go watch Pig. It's got a lot to offer. Now, Fried Barry is a fucking awesome film. I actually felt kind of fried myself while watching it, and I can guarantee you I was not. It's funny, it's charming, it's quirky, it's kind of gross, it's really, really weird. I will admit the third act isn't quite as good as the first two and lets it down a little bit, but it's clear that the only goal while making this film was to make it as bizarre as possible and to have the best time doing it. The guy that plays Barry, or at least the alien in his head, is so great in this role. He's perfectly cast, he looks the part of a scumbag who just suddenly becomes really weird and kind of better than his original self. All the characters probably just think he's utterly and completely brain damaged until of course they find out there's an alien in his head. This film genuinely knows no limits with where it goes. I am so glad I watched this movie. I can't wait to introduce more people to it. I hope you enjoy it too. Eric Andre's hidden camera film debut, and it's really funny. Tiffany Haddish did a fucking incredible job in this film. I think she deserves a lot more credit for that. Lil Rel Howery continues to impress me with his comedic timing. I like how in comparison to Get Out, where he's kind of the funny idiot one, he's actually the straight man in this film, but he still manages to entertain me endlessly. Oh yeah, he was also in Free Guy. He was pretty funny in that as well. Forgot about that. But Bad Trip, through all of its gross out humor, its genuinely funny setups that trick and disgust the people around them, the genuine dangers that Eric and Rel went through. I believe they were almost stabbed at one point. This is a film about friendship and brotherly love, and realizing that what you're after isn't actually what you need. What you need is a friend, even if you have to go on the road trip from fucking hell to realize that. But yeah, this film is really great. Dare I say close to an 8 than a 6, God forbid. I really need to watch it again, god damn. How can you go from making one of the biggest pieces of garbage on planet Earth to making something that I actually really enjoyed watching? DC, you do surprise me sometimes. Oh, I'll tell you how they did it. They got James Gunn, someone with ideas who knows what he's doing, to come in and give the property some fresh treatment and a unique little spin. This is essentially what the original Suicide Squad tried to do. Make a James Gunn type movie in the vein of Guardians of the Galaxy and make some iconic and also less iconic characters more well known and lovable. But the trick was to actually get the guy who did it to come in and do it for you, and that he did. James Gunn is a very impressive man with his writing and directing talents. His sense of humor is really quirky and charming, and also kind of dark and twisted at the same time. Everyone in this film's great, with the highlights for me at least being John Cena, Idris Elba, Margot Robbie. Even Sylvester Stallone's simple-minded retard talk was just incredible. I really love all the villains they hire at the beginning that just die instantly. That was a really funny sequence. I thought Daniela Melchior was really good as Ratcatcher 2. Joel Kinnaman did a great job as Rick Flag. You can just tell that everyone knew that what they were doing was a lot better than the first movie, and they were having fun while doing it. Of course, they all kind of become heroes at the end, but unlike some garbage like Venom or Morbius, they actually kind of stick to the cause of the characters and keep them as anti-heroes that just fuck shit up when they want to, and I love that about this movie. I haven't seen the Peacemaker spin-off yet, but I do really want to when I get time to. The Suicide Squad is just a really fun, awesome experience like the first movie should have been. And again, it's not perfect, but for what it is, it's just endlessly entertaining. I'm just gonna say it. The true star of this movie, David Dastmalchian, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, as Polka Dot Man. That is a character who I was genuinely pissed off died by the end of the film. I want more of him. I want more of this. Make more of these movies, please. I like Kristen Stewart now. I mean, yeah, she was in the Twilight movies, but she's moved up in her career. She's doing stuff I actually like. I thought her accent was a little bit hokey in this film, but her performance is so dedicated that I can't help but just ignore that and fully enjoy her in the role. And what I like about this movie in comparison to some of the other ones I've talked about is it doesn't try and be a biographical experience. It's a fable loosely based on a true story, and it doesn't hide that fact. It exaggerates heavily. It tackles themes of mental illness, motherhood, extramarital affairs, public life, and just how much it kinda sucks to be married into the royal family. They have their traditions and their weird personalities, and they love to make you feel like you're the crazy one because of it. This is just a really great film. I do think maybe it would work better as a stage play, but the filmmaking techniques used really do add to it. It feels purposeful, unique, and dare I say, this is a film I shan't forget and shall watch again. The Lost Daughter is very similar to Spencer in quite a few ways. They're both films that essentially tackle motherhood, married life, and the misery of being trapped in those situations, and then when you realise you weren't really ready for it, it's a bit too late. But of course, The Lost Daughter is different in the sense that it also takes place after all this has happened, and it's a woman just trying to sort of move on with her life, on holiday or whatever. It's a very weird film. The main character isn't even really all that likeable. In fact, she's kind of a bitch. She does really horrible things. Even as a younger woman, she's really horrible sometimes, but this is just the person that she is. Olivia Colman does a great job, as does Jessie Buckley. Ed Harris and Dakota Johnson are also highlights of the film. It doesn't have really that much of a story. I thought the whole weird, crazy criminal family thing was kind of interesting. It was a very bizarre experience, but it was a really enjoyable one. Dune's epic. What can I say? Science fiction, fantasy stuff. It's a pretty cool movie. Maybe it was a little bit too long and a bit too slow at points, but I had a great time time watching it. Yeah, there's some bad CGI, but for every terrible piece, there's also these incredible sequences. The practical stuff is really great. Most of the CGI is pretty great. I really like the world that Dune is set in. It's pretty cool to me. I don't love it as much as Star Wars or Blade Runner, but Denis Villeneuve is a really talented director, and he really brings life to this movie. No lesser director could have handled the task of Dune, and I am very excited for Dune Part 2. I was a bit confused because I was under the impression that Nightmare Alley was some kind of horror carnival film, but it's actually a lot deeper and more interesting than that. Guillermo del Toro definitely brings his unique fantasy style way of making movies to this film, but still manages to ground it in reality and tell a genuinely interesting, dramatic, unnerving tale about a man who gets everything but wants more. The cast is absolutely stellar. Toni Collette and Cate Blanchett were definitely a highlight, but Bradley Cooper, Rooney Mara, and everyone else in the film were incredible. I just love Willem Dafoe in anything. Like, honestly, that man cannot fail. It's also sometimes very shocking and surprising with what it does. It ends in a way that was very satisfying and full-circled, which I appreciate. It's a film that definitely deserves a lot more attention. PVT Chat is a film that isn't exactly for everyone, but I definitely enjoyed it. Like I said earlier, Julia Fox is an incredible actress. Peter Vack is a really great underrated actor in my opinion. You might remember him as the voice of Gary from Bully. This film's stressful, kind of tense, twisted. Sometimes it's a little bit gross, but it's intentional, and I really like that about it. It is a bit unrealistic, especially with its ending, but I don't think it's trying to be realistic. I think it's just trying to sort of play into that fantasy that a lot of these weird chat girl obsessed guys actually have, and build on that fantasy idea they have in their head that something like this could happen, and just make an entertaining film out of it. Obviously, it's not saying this shit would ever happen in real life, but in this fictional world, it definitely can. Trust Ridley Scott to make a film that I don't care about at all, and a film that I love dearly, both in the same year with Adam Driver in them. That is impressive. The Last Duel isn't just a dramatic dueling film about rape and violence and gore and all that stuff, although it is mostly that. It's also very charming, funny, well made, and just a thrilling experience. Yeah, it's a little long, but I don't care about that. It offers 3 different unique perspectives on one story that's already complicated enough. First, we see the warped perception by the 2 masculine dudes. Then we see the real truthful perception from the lady, who doesn't even actually give it, but we just see it because we know for a fact that the courts would never let her actually give a proper side of the story that would dare defame either 2 of the accused. It's a film with a powerful message about being a woman without being preachy or irritating. It does it in a good way. I mean, the time frame was actually fucking just bizarre. People actually believed that you couldn't get pregnant if you didn't experience pleasure from sex. Like, that is just fucking insane. Ben Affleck is actually really great in the film. I feel like he deserves a bit more recognition for this role. Everyone's just great in this film. Matt Damon's awesome. Jodie Comer's great. I do actually believe it's based on something that actually happened, and like I said, unlike those other films, it's not claiming to be 100% accurate or anything. It's just a retelling of the story from hundreds of years ago. I just really love this film. I can't wait to watch it again. Nobody's basically what happens when you take John Wick and make him a blue-collar married man with 2 kids. I love this film. It is so badass, so thrilling, so fun, so silly, so over the top, and just so everything. Bob Odenkirk is just perfect for a film like this. He's incredible. It's really nice to see Christopher Lloyd in a movie that's actually really great, that he's really great in. What has it been, like 30 years or something? This is a film that you can watch on repeat at least 5 times without getting bored of it. It's just so exciting and badass. But at the same time, it's like, no, I don't want to be like this guy, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy watching him do all this shit. It's fucking awesome. It has some really funny moments as well, to not make it completely just unself-aware and ridiculous. I love how most of it is just built on coincidence, like he accidentally re-exposes himself to the violent life that he had before, and it is pretty fucked up, some of the stuff he did, like Jesus Christ. But yeah, this guy ain't no nobody. I mean, he kind of is, but at the same time he's not, and it's not a nobody film. It's a great film. Go see it. I know there's this stigma when an extremely revered and talented director comes out with a new film for the first time in like 2 years or so, everyone's like, oh, it's not as good as his old films. And yeah, you can say The French Dispatch isn't quite as good as some of his older films, but it's still a fucking great film. I don't care what anyone says, I still think Wes Anderson is an extremely talented director. I love the whole 3-story structure. I love what the 3 stories are built around. All the acting's great. Of course, it looks beautiful and the music is really well used and sweet on the ears. Apparently the cycling reporter and the obituary after Bill Murray's character dies also count as segments, but I'm just gonna count the 3 main segments. I will say Owen Wilson was kind of annoying in the movie, but you know, he's Owen Wilson, he's hit or miss. My favourite was definitely the concrete masterpiece. It's just perfectly quirky and bizarre and kind of dark and twisted, but in a good way. My second favourite was the private dining room of the police commissioner. I really loved the animated segment. I thought it was a very clever, creative way of displaying the car chase and whatnot. It was a very clever and creative story. And my least favourite is the revisions to a manifesto. I actually don't mind Timothée Chalamet. I think he's okay. It's also a story that's kind of strange and a bit twisted at points. Frances McDormand is great in it. It has something to say, at least. It's literally got the word manifesto in the title, so of course it has its little political angle, but it's all done with good fun and humour. Jeffrey Wright was honestly probably a highlight in the film. Willem Dafoe's in it for a bit, yes. Tilda Swinton is always incredible to watch in a film. It's got all the actors I like. Jason Schwartzman, Angelica Houston even narrates it for a bit. Edward Norton's in it for a bit. Adrian Brody shows up and he's incredible. The set design is beautiful. The location work is incredible. It's shot on 35mm as well, so it just has a really nice organic look to the whole thing. I'm honestly excited to see this film again. Dare I say I thought it was slightly better than Moonrise Kingdom at one point, although I have now come to the conclusion that that's blasphemy and Moonrise Kingdom is slightly better than this film, but who knows, that could change. I will say one genuine strong criticism I have for this movie is that Léa Seydoux wasn't actually good, like, at all. I thought she was kind of bad. I thought she was kind of wooden, which is strange because I really liked her in Inglourious Bastards and I thought she was okay in Spectre, even though that film kind of sucks. But hey, not every performance can be a winner. Judas and the Black Messiah. It's really great. I love this movie. My boy Daniel Kaluuya is incredible in the film. Lakeith is really, really good. All the other actors do an incredible job, Jesse Plemons especially. Martin Sheen's in it and he does a fantastic job. It's really tense and emotionally gripping. Dominique Fishback also did an incredible job, just saying. I really love the creative way it's made with the cinematography and the editing. The music is incredible. This is a really great film, which is well worth watching. Now, I need to talk about the importance of Spider-Man No Way Home to me personally. This film brought everything I could have wanted and asked for to the table. We got Tobey Maguire back, we got Andrew Garfield back, we got all 3 Spider-Men doing the meme together at one point, which is just amazing. We had all of the original villains come back, well, at least all the ones that we care about. Every character in the film has something to do with some merit to the story, which I really love. It's basically just good fan service. When I first saw this film, I gave it a 9, which I think was a little bit over the top. Like, there are some issues with the story that, of course, everyone's talked about and beaten to death. But even lowering my score does not take away from how much I love this movie and everything it stands for. It is my childhood encaptured in a ball, shoved into my mouth, and it tastes delicious. I love this movie and I could sit here and talk about it for an hour about how much I love it. I mean, the whole 3 is the magic number thing, like it's the 3rd in a trilogy. There's 3 Spider-Men and there's 3 best friends, you know, Peter, Ned, and MJ. Like, there's 3 meanings to the film, which is like, and the song is about the number 3. I cannot, like, just small things like that just really make me giddy when thinking about the movie. I don't really like the Tom Holland suits that much. I think the designs are cool, but they CGI them a bit too much. One genuine criticism I also have is I hate how sort of overlooked Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman and Rhys Ifans' Lizard have been. I mean, yeah, the Lizard you can get away with, like, you know, he's not particularly important, but the Sandman was the best part of Spider-Man 3 and he's so underused in this film. They do something with him, which I appreciate. Like, he has plenty of moments where he's talking and doing stuff, but by the end of the film it's like, oh, he's cured, and he doesn't even say thank you, Peter. I was a bit disappointed about that. Plus, Rhys Ifans and Thomas Hayden Church haven't been doing that much promotional material. They didn't get to do their own villains panel on the special features or anything. Like, come on, guys, they're still part of the movie. Like, give them the respect they deserve. I mean, for all I know, it could be for complicated reasons, like COVID restrictions wouldn't allow them to fly in or whatever. Maybe they just didn't care about the movie that much compared to the other actors, which is maybe fair enough. I mean, they did sort of get the wrong ends of the stick with their original films. Like, the Lizard has some great material in that first Amazing Spider-Man that was just left on the cutting room floor, which is disappointing. Sandman also had a bit more to do, which was left on the cutting room floor, but he's still a really great character in my opinion. Definitely the best part of Spider-Man 3. That's all I really have to say. I could say more, but Everything else about this film I like in some way, no matter how silly. Titane, excellent body horror film, also of course has its metaphors, its overarching themes. The acting is incredible, the special effects are beautiful. It's a film that kind of has you biting your nails, just wondering what's going to happen next and how this almost implausible stuff is going to keep on going, but of course it's not like a realistic film. It is gloriously over the top at points, and of course very surreal in concept. I mean, the main thing about a story is a woman gets pregnant after fucking a car, she turns out to be a serial killer, and she goes on the run pretending to be the older version of a boy that she murdered, while she's pregnant with a baby titanium spined thing. What is not to love about that? I love this twisted shit. It's definitely better than Raw. I can see this director only going up and up and up and making better and better films as she goes along. But as it stands, I love what she's doing and I can't wait to see more of it. Very, very intense. And the special only 9 out of 10 award goes to The Father, which is a really great film, I think adapted from a play. Again, it very much feels like a play in the form of a movie. That doesn't bother me if you're the kind of person that's used to that kind of thing from television and whatnot. Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman, just an excellent pairing. They do a fantastic job in their individual roles. It's incredibly well shot and edited. All of that is very purposeful. The music's great, although I really did not like some of the uses of it in certain scenes. It kind of took me out of the movie a little bit. It's of course very heartbreaking, but it is just an incredible experience and it really leaves you thinking by the end. Gotta enjoy the time we have with them while they're still here and still sane. So, Teenagers is basically a documentary about the lives of teenagers, but also intertwined with a fictional story, which stars the director, Nico Walker, who is a good friend of the channel's good friend, Liam Bilski, who also worked on this movie as an editor, I believe. I just love this film so much. You can say what you want about it, it's not a real movie, it's like a unlisted video you have to find the link for and then watch it on YouTube, but to me, it's just as real as any other documentary ever made. With fictionalized elements, of course. It's not quite Borat, it takes itself a lot more seriously, but it does have kind of funny moments. I will say the acting sucks, and I think Nico knows that, so that's okay, I guess. You can only go upwards and improve with your movie making. But the stories that the people tell are so organic and raw and real. It feels oddly whimsical at times. The presentation is amazing. The editing is great, hee. The music is incredible. I think it's an original score, but if it is, my condemnation goes towards everyone involved in making it. I think it was shot during the summer, so it has a really warm and comforting feeling in spite of all the sometimes rather nasty things the teenagers talk about. All the cinematographers did a great job. I really felt absorbed into the world around these people. The actual story for the scripted scenes is like suitably fucked up for how everything else is. It's just incredible. I'm leaving a link down below so you can go watch it yourself. It's just a great experience. Please enjoy it. I already talked about Red Rocket. The only 10 out of 10 of the year award goes to it. It is my favourite film of the year for a myriad of reasons. Go check out my quickie to see why. Simon Rex, Susanna Son, everyone else is incredible. The nun actors that were in the film. Shot on 16mm, it looks beautiful, on location as well. Very funny, very meaningful. Has a lot to say about the porn industry and the kind of parasitic people that are born from it. It's just an incredible experience overall. I strongly recommend this film. Hello everybody, my tripod is currently in Kent and I currently live in Essex, so I can't get to it right now. Otherwise this would be an audio-visual outro instead of just an audio one. I do apologise. Thank you so much for keeping up this series. Halfway through the year already. But okay, right. I mean, at least the video's out and complete and done. That's pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed making it. Even though it took a long time and it was a bit stressful and I've got a lot of other things going on right now, I still really enjoyed it. It was very fun. I just want to say thank you to everybody for all the positive comments, all the likes, all the everything. You guys are truly great. Now that I've got this series out the way, I can go back to focusing on more interesting, lengthy videos like the Lost Media stuff. I got another few episodes of Trip to the Archives planned out. I want to talk about certain things. I'm not going to talk about them right now because it's spoilers, but they will be out soon enough when I have some time. I've also been doing a bit of acting, which, as some of you may know, I'm really looking forward to. I've always enjoyed acting. Now I've got the opportunity to actually do it is awesome.
The place that I'm filming next is in Buckinghamshire though, so that's going to be a long journey. I'm going to be staying with my grandmother in London so I can do that. Then I've got a proper acting gig, like the thing I'm doing right now is like a student film. It's very professional and all that, but it is just a student film. It's not going to get shown publicly anywhere or anything. In regards to that film I posted a video about, I'm in a legit film or whatever, that's on the way. The director is taking his time with it. He's not lazy, he's just, it's a lot of work to do, especially just for one guy, color correcting, editing, all that stuff. So we've got an editor helping him out. He has a job, a full-time job, so he's taking his time with it, like I said. This project that I'm doing next though, is a little 10-minute film. I can't say anything about it beyond that, but it should be interesting. It's a good script. I like the story, I like the character I'm playing, I like everything about it pretty much. As soon as that's done, I'll be excited. First proper, legit, like professional industry acting job, I would say actually, which is pretty cool. And then who knows, I've got a short film that I want to make. I've filmed a little bit of it. No promises as to when it will actually be out, but it will be out eventually. Please don't be scared. Again, the reason these videos take so long is just because my laptop isn't 100% great. It often heats up really easily, especially when I use DaVinci Resolve, so editing's always a pain. I have to stop doing it for like half an hour so the laptop can stop, and if I don't, it's just going to be really slow. It's going to be a pain in the ass. It's an endless loophole of just stuff happening, but I'm working on these videos as fast as I can. Rest be assured. If they take a long time, I don't know, it should be more exciting when they come out. If people haven't lost interest, God forbid, which I hope they don't. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please please leave your lovely comments, which I love to read so much. I do read all of them. They are great. You guys are awesome. And yeah, just stay tuned for the next one. Peace.